This time the chair recognizes the gentleman from Iowa, Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank you, Attorney General, for a long day today, and I hope you got a break for lunch. I did. A number of things come to mind. I'd like to pick up on the sanctuary city side of this, and that is that this statute that prohibits the local jurisdictions, the law enforcement jurisdictions, from having a policy that prohibits their law enforcement officers from engaging with, supporting with, or helping immigration enforcement officials from the federal government. And I'm of the understanding that some of these communities prohibit their law enforcement officers from gathering information, and in that way they circumvent the text of 642A, as the gentleman referenced. And so I think it's important that you know that section and enforce that section. I've not yet seen an Attorney General that does enforce that section of the law. And if you read that and it reads to you as literally as I have described it to you, would you be prepared then to withhold law enforcement grants from those local jurisdictions?
Well, thank you for the question, Congressman, and for the specific factual predicate to it. Again, it's not a statute that I'm familiar with now to give you a specific response to, but I am happy to look into that and provide you with information on that.
I would urge you to do that, and I'm asking you in this record to please send that to me at my office as well as to the committee. I would like to know directly what your response is on that. It's very frustrating to be engaged in passing legislation here in this Congress and then seeing that it's ignored. That's the sanctuary city part of this. I wanted to go back, though, to the background check piece of this, and I understand the distinctions between Iraq and Syria and the more difficulty in Syria, but do we have biometrics on the Syrian refugees or the migrants? Do we have fingerprints? Do we have digital photographs of those, and is that part of the background check?
It depends on the individual circumstance. I mean, a number of people do come in and do have that information, and a number of people do not. If they come in, as I indicated before, as part of the process, that information would be gathered and also stored in a database.
But you can't do a background on information that you've just gathered as far as fingerprints or digital photographs are concerned, so it would have to be part of their record prior to that, say coming out of Iraq or Syria. I just came back from there last week, and not only that, but I traveled over much of Europe and I tracked with the migrants, and I saw tens of thousands of them. And I met with the State Department in a number of countries. And they tell me that they're giving our expertise to local countries in the European Union because, as you've said, we're ahead of them. So I said, well, is some of that, are they fingerprinting? Are they taking digital photographs? Their answer was, well, no, they aren't. Did we give them that advice? Well, no, we aren't. And so I'm very troubled about the level of confidence you seem to exude here, or the President exudes, on an ability to do background checks when I see a huge haystack of humanity. And in that haystack are the needles that are terrorists, and also in that haystack are the pieces of hay that will become the needles of terrorists. And so do you actually believe that the administration altogether can assure America with any degree of confidence that they can identify someone who will be radicalized because of their association, especially with their religion and their family members, that they will be transferred into here in this country?
Well, Congressman, as I indicated, we do have a robust screening mechanism. As I also indicated,
but how is it
it's a
robust?
challenging circumstance in order to ensure that we have the information that we need to make the determinations on who can come into the country and who cannot come into the country.
Let me suggest that it doesn't sound at all robust to me. Not if it's not robust enough that we already have identified them in their home country. If they don't have a legal existence in their home country, then how in the world can we possibly do a background check on people that, from a legal perspective, didn't exist before they showed up here at the borders of the United States? We're faced with that constantly. How about this? Are you under any kind of directive by the administration not to say Islamic Jihad or radical Islam? Is that a memo that has come out?
I've seen no memo on vocabulary, Congressman.
Can you say that or describe then the enemies we have that are killing Western civilization in that fashion? Are they Islamic Jihad? Are they Islamic radicals?
I call them murderers, sir.
But you can't say Islam in conjunction with that. So how do we understand them if you can't say that? I mean, I want to read to you then. You can't say it, can you? You can't say it any more than Hillary Clinton can say the word Islamic Jihad, radical Islamic Jihad. If we can't understand our enemy, if we don't know who they are, if we don't know what motivates them, do you know what the term hijrah means?
I'm sorry,
Hijrah, H-I-J-R-A-H. an Islamic term for peaceful migration to invade other countries and start your civilization there and don't assimilate into the broader culture of civilization. And that's being preached in mosques around the Middle East, and they're rising up and moving into Europe and moving into the United States, and they're resisting the idea that they could ever assimilate into the American culture or civilization. And we're sitting here acting like we can vet them without even understanding what the word hijra is, and not being able to say radical Islam, radical Islamic Jihad, and having a president out of your party that can't say it either. And I'm flabbergasted. I'm listening. Here will be my last question, honest.
Gentleman,
And that is, and I do it if I'd ask unanimous consent to ask the last question, Mr. Chairman.
finish your question.
Did you ever think, this is actually a little bit of levity, a little bit of levity, actually, did you ever think that you would be sitting here testifying before the House Judiciary Committee, hearing so many people of the other party advocate for legalizing marijuana? It's purely rhetorical, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back.